All right, let's dive into Zen. We're looking at Pathless Zen, Discovering Infinite Simplicity.
Oh, yeah. I was really drawn to that title, too.
I know, right? Just the name itself, it kind of promises, a straightforward approach. And that's exactly what this book is about. It's about, actually experiencing Zen.
Yeah, it's not getting bogged down in all the dogma.
Right. It's for you, whether you're, a Zen master or just curious.
Totally. I think anyone could get something out of this.
Because it's packed with stories, paradoxes.
Oh, yeah.
And practical advice, too.
Yeah. So it's not just theory. It's stuff you can actually put into practice in your life.
One of the things that struck me right away is how the book defines Zen. It's not like a rigid belief system.
Right.
It's more about experiencing life as it's happening, like right now.
Yeah. I like how they emphasize simplicity and presence.
Yeah. Being present.
It's so easy to get caught up in, mental clutter.
Absolutely.
And miss what's right in front of us.
Yeah, we're constantly thinking about the past, worrying about the future. And this book is like, hey, wake up.
Exactly. It's like a little Zen slap in the face.
And you know what? It tackles those common misconceptions about Zen head on.
Oh, totally. Like that whole thing about emptying your mind.
Yeah, you're supposed to just, turn off your brain.
Right, which is impossible. It's more about, observing your thoughts.
Yeah.
Without judgment, letting them come and go.
Oh, like clouds.
Exactly. It's like watching clouds drift by.
That makes way more sense.
Because you're not trying to, force your mind to be blank.
Yeah. Which never works for me.
Never works. The book has this great analogy. Before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water.
I love that. So good.
It's not about achieving some special state where you never have to do dishes again.
Right. It's about how you do those dishes.
It's about bringing that same awareness, that same presence to every single thing you do.
Whether it's, sitting on a meditation cushion or...
Right. Or just like you said.
Dealing with that overflowing inbox. All right, so Pathless Zen lays out these 3 core principles.
Yes.
Emptiness, non-duality, and simplicity.
Big concepts.
Yeah. Where do we even begin with these?
Well, let's start with emptiness.
Okay.
Sometimes called sunyata.
Sunyata. Hey.
And it's this idea that nothing exists in isolation.
Interesting.
Like the book uses the example of a tree. A tree needs sun, water, and soil to exist, right?
Can't just appear out of nowhere.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it goes beyond that. Even our sense of self, who we think we are, is actually interconnected with everything else.
So it's like recognizing that web of connections that makes up reality.
Yeah, and that everything is in flux, everything's changing.
I mean, that can be kind of scary.
It can be, but the book argues it can also be freeing.
Okay, how so?
Because it allows us to let go of clinging to these fixed ideas we have about ourselves and the world.
Okay, so less clinging, more going with the flow.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, so that's emptiness. What about non-duality?
Non-duality.
Isn't that get rid of those good versus bad labels?
Exactly. It challenges us to move beyond that kind of binary thinking.
Because the world isn't that black and white, is it?
It's not. The book even uses one of those classic Zen koans.
Ooh, koans?
You know the one, what is the sound of one hand clapping?
Well, that one always gets me. I'm like, wait, what?
It's a question designed to, break your brain a little, and it points to this underlying unity of things that we normally see as opposites.
I see. So you can't have light without darkness, right?
Exactly. You can't have up without down.
And recognizing that interconnectedness can help us navigate tough situations.
Absolutely. Like when we're stuck seeing things as either.
Okay, so less black and white, more shades of gray.
Yeah, and that's where non-duality can be really helpful.
Now, what about simplicity?
Oh, simplicity.
I have a feeling this is going to resonate with a lot of people, especially with, the whole minimalism trend.
Yeah, I think so too.
So is it just about decluttering your house?
It's about that, but it goes deeper. It's like minimalism for your mind,
Ooh, minimalism for your mind. I like that.
Letting go of unnecessary thoughts, unnecessary actions.
Instead of constantly adding more, you're simplifying.
Exactly. Cause all that complexity, it can cloud our perception.
Okay, so simplicity is like cutting through all the noise.
Right, to get to what truly matters.
All right, so we've got these 3 principles: emptiness, non-duality, and simplicity. They seem pretty interconnected.
Yeah, they really are. The book doesn't present them as separate ideas, but as facets of a unified approach to living.
Okay, so they work together.
They inform each other, they build on each other.
To form this, framework for Zen practice?
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense.
Sure.
But, there's still a lot of misconceptions about Zen out there.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
What are some of the myths that Pathless Zen tackles?
I think one of the biggest ones is that Zen is a religion.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that before.
Right. But it's not about dogma or worshiping a deity.
It's not about, like, following a set of rules
Exactly. It's more of a practice, a way of being in the world,
that anyone can explore.
regardless of their background or beliefs.
Right. But I can see why people get confused.
Yeah, I mean, there's that whole connection to Buddhism.
Yeah, they just automatically assume, oh, it's another branch of Buddhism.
Right, with all the rituals and stuff.
But Pathless Zen makes it clear that while Zen has roots in Buddhism,
Yes, it has its own unique path.
it's developed into something distinct.
Exactly. And the book actually traces that journey.
Ooh, that's interesting.
It starts in India, where it originated as dhyana,
Dhyana,
which means meditation. Then it travels to China, where it becomes Chan.
Chan.
And finally lands in Japan, where it evolves into the Zen we know today.
Wow, so Zen has been on quite a journey.
It has. Each culture added its own flavor to it.
Kind of like a recipe that's been passed down and tweaked over generations.
Exactly. And the book highlights those influences, So you can see how Zen has evolved over time.
Okay, so that's why it's so hard to pin down one single definition.
Exactly. Because it's been shaped by all these different traditions.
So who are some of the key figures in the development of Zen?
Well, the book talks about Bodhidharma.
Bodhidharma.
He's considered the first patriarch of Zen.
Oh, wow. The OG of Zen.
Right. He traveled from India to China and really emphasized meditation
Meditation at the core.
as the core practice, like less focus on scriptures, more on direct experience.
Oh, interesting. Wait, wasn't there a story about him meditating facing a wall for 9 years?
Yeah, the book mentions that. It's meant to illustrate the incredible focus and discipline Zen values.
I mean, 9 years. That's some serious dedication.
Seriously. But there's another story about Bodhidharma I find even more fascinating.
Oh, what's that?
It involves Emperor Wu, who was this super devout Buddhist, built all these temples.
Okay, yeah, I vaguely remember him.
So he asks Bodhidharma, like, hey, what merit have I earned for all these good deeds? And Bodhidharma's response, none whatsoever.
Whoa.
Yeah.
He told an emperor he had no merit. That's bold.
Right. But he was making a point. Zen isn't about racking up points, It's not about trying to impress some cosmic scorekeeper.
I see. It's not transactional.
Exactly. It's about inner transformation. It's about waking up.
Okay, so good deeds are fine, but they're not the end goal in themselves.
Right. It's about the inner shift that happens as you practice Zen.
So it's less about what you do and more about how you do it.
Precisely.
So after India, Zen goes to China. And I'm guessing China already had its own, philosophical and spiritual traditions.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And one of the biggest influences on Zen was Taoism.
Taoism. Okay, remind me what that's all about again.
Well, Taoism is all about harmony with nature, simplicity, spontaneity.
Okay, I'm starting to see how that would mesh well with Zen.
Yeah, you see it everywhere in Zen teachings.
So the two kind of blended together.
They did, and it's that Taoist influence that gives Zen that directness, that connection to nature, that poetic quality,
Yeah, I think I see what you mean.
It's like they complement each other perfectly.
Yeah. So Zen wasn't just plopped into China, it absorbed those local influences and transformed.
Exactly, adapted and evolved.
Then it eventually makes its way to Japan, right?
Right. And Japanese culture, with its emphasis on aesthetics, minimalism, that attention to detail.
Oh, I can see how that would resonate with Zen.
It was like a perfect fit. They really complemented each other.
And speaking of Japan, Pathless Zen talks about Dogen Zenji.
Oh, yeah, Dogen.
He seems like a key figure in Japanese Zen, right?
He was instrumental in bringing Zen to Japan.
Wow. So what was his deal? What were his main teachings?
He founded the Soto school of Zen, and he really emphasized Zazen, which is seated meditation.
Zazen. Okay, so like just sitting there meditating.
Yeah, but for Dogen, it was more than just practice.
Oh, how so?
He saw Zazen as enlightenment itself.
So it's not about achieving some special state while you're meditating.
Right, it's about the act of meditating being an expression of your true nature.
I see. So like the act itself is the point.
Exactly. And he also encouraged finding that same awakening in everyday activities.
So whether you're meditating or washing dishes, it can all be Zen practice.
Exactly. It's all about the mindset you bring to it.
That's a really cool way to look at it. It's
Right.
like every moment has the potential to be a Zen moment.
That's it. You got it.
All right, so we've got Zazen, seated meditation.
Mm.
But Zen also uses these things called koans.
Ah, koans.
I love koans, but they kind of make my head spin sometimes.
They're designed to do that, like that classic one. What is the sound of one hand clapping?
Oh yeah, or if you meet the Buddha on the road, kill him.
Exactly. And they're not meant to be solved in any traditional sense.
So like, there's no right answer.
There's no right answer. The book emphasizes that koans are not logical puzzles.
So what are we supposed to do with them?
Contemplate them. Let them simmer in your mind. It's about pushing beyond those limitations of your rational thinking.
So you're not trying to come up with the correct answer?
You're not. It's more about the process of wrestling with the koan.
Yeah, and seeing where it takes you.
It's about that aha moment, the sudden insight.
That comes when you let go of trying to figure it out.
Exactly.
But, you know, a lot of people might hear all this and think Zen is like this super esoteric thing.
Yeah, all these abstract ideas.
But Pathless Zen really emphasizes how these ideas can be integrated into everyday life.
Oh, absolutely. One of the things I appreciate about the book is that it doesn't shy away from the practical side of Zen.
Okay, so how does that work?
It shows you how these principles can actually help you navigate, daily life.
The ups and downs.
Work stress, relationship challenges, just feeling overwhelmed.
Yeah, because I think we've all been there.
We all have.
So in a world that's telling us to constantly do more, be more, achieve more.
Zen offers this different path.
It does. Like a path that leads to a simpler way of being.
Exactly. And the book gives you the tools to find that path.
Okay, so how does Pathless Zen actually work in practice? What are some of the techniques? Well, the book spends a lot of time on Zazen, which is seated meditation.
Zazen, okay, I've tried meditating before.
Yeah.
And I'm terrible at it. Like, my mind just won't shut up.
Oh, the book actually talks about that. Like, it's honest about the challenges of meditation.
Okay, good.
It doesn't sugarcoat it and say, oh, you'll instantly reach this blissful state.
Right.
It acknowledges that you're going to experience restlessness, boredom, doubt. It's all part of the process.
So it's not about achieving some, perfect thought-free state?
No, not at all.
Yeah, okay, that's a relief. It's more about just showing up, observing those thoughts without judgment, and coming back to the present moment.
So it's a practice, not a performance.
Exactly.
Okay, less pressure.
Yeah.
So what does Zazen actually involve? Is it all about, posture and breathing techniques?
Well, the book does give detailed instructions on posture. Finding a comfortable seated position, usually on a cushion, keeping your spine straight.
Yeah.
But it emphasizes that comfort and stability are key. It even suggests using a chair if that's easier for you.
Oh, okay. So it's not about contorting yourself into some pretzel shape.
No, not at all. The important thing is to find a position that allows you to be alert, but also relaxed.
Got it.
And the breath becomes your anchor, your focal point.
Okay.
The book describes a few different techniques you can try, like counting your breaths or just noticing the natural rhythm of your breath.
I've tried focusing on my breath before, but I don't know.
Yeah.
My mind always wanders off. It's like my thoughts just have a life of their own.
That's completely normal. The book says the mind will wander.
Okay.
The practice is in gently guiding it back to the breath.
Over and over again.
Again and again. It's like training a puppy,
Right.
It takes patience, repetition, and a lot of kindness.
The book also mentions shikantaza,
Shikantaza, yes.
which is described as just sitting.
Just sitting.
So how is that different from zazen? They both sound like sitting.
Well, shikantaza takes things a step further. It's not about focusing on the breath or any particular object.
Yeah.
You're cultivating a more open, spacious awareness.
Wow, it sounds kind of hard.
It is. It definitely takes practice. The book describes it as simply sitting without seeking or striving.
So no goals, no expectations.
Exactly. You just let go and observe whatever arises in your mind.
Thoughts, feelings, sensations.
All of it. But you don't get caught up in them.
You just let them be.
You just let them be. It can be incredibly liberating,
I can imagine.
to let go of that constant need to do, to control, to fix everything.
Right, to just be.
Exactly.
Okay, so we got zazen, shikantaza, and then there's kinhin, which is walking meditation.
Yes.
So you're bringing that mindfulness into movement.
Exactly. Kinhin is traditionally practiced in a slow, deliberate way,
Okay.
coordinating your breath with each step.
Huh. Interesting.
The book explains how it's often used during these, longer meditation retreats to break up the sitting.
Makes sense. You'd probably get stiff just sitting all day.
You would. But it's something you can incorporate into everyday life, too.
Oh, okay. So Like, instead of just zoning out when I'm walking the dog.
Yeah, instead of letting your mind race ahead to your to-do list.
Right. You're actually paying attention to what's happening right now.
You're present with the sensations of walking, the feeling of your feet on the ground, noticing the world around you.
I like that. It's like those everyday tasks become these little opportunities to practice mindfulness.
Exactly. And that's what Pathless Zen is all about, integrating Zen into your daily life.
But the book also talks about these more intense practices, like silent retreats or sessions.
Yeah.
Those sound pretty hardcore. What's the point of those?
Well, they're designed for deeper immersion in Zen practice.
Okay.
You're basically removing yourself from all distractions, spending several days in silence with a structured schedule of meditation, meals, and work practice.
It's like hitting the reset button on your mind.
Exactly. But the book emphasizes that retreats aren't for everyone.
Right. You'd really have to be ready for that kind of intensity.
You would. But for those seeking a more serious practice, it can be a really profound experience.
I can see how that would be transformative.
It can be really challenging, but also really rewarding.
So, it's amazing how Zen goes beyond just sitting meditation.
Right. There are so many different ways to practice.
The book even talks about Zen arts,
Oh, yeah. The Zen arts are fascinating.
like calligraphy and the tea
a
ceremony,
very example.
as forms of meditation.
Exactly. In calligraphy, each brushstroke becomes an exercise in mindfulness and presence.
And the tea ceremony, with its focus on ritual and simplicity, that just seems so Zen.
It really embodies those principles beautifully. Even martial arts like Aikido or Kendo
Oh, yeah.
can be seen as moving meditations.
It's like finding Zen in all these unexpected places.
That's what I love about it. It's not confined to a cushion or a meditation hall.
It's about bringing that awareness to whatever you're doing.
And speaking of finding Zen in unexpected places, Pathless Zen has these great stories and parables.
Oh, yeah, I love those. They really bring the teachings to life.
They do.
Yeah.
Like the story of the overflowing teacup. Remember that one?
Oh, yeah. What was the lesson there again?
It's about approaching life with an open mind, ready to receive new experiences without clinging to our old ideas.
Oh, yeah, to make space for something new.
Exactly. And then there's the parable of the farmer's luck. That one's all about impermanence and letting go of attachment to outcomes.
Oh, those stories are so good. They seem simple on the surface,
They do.
but they really stay with you and make you think.
That's the power of metaphor, you know?
Right. And, the book doesn't shy away from the mystical aspects of Zen either.
Oh no, it definitely touches on those.
It talks about Satori,
Satori.
which is often translated as sudden awakening.
Sudden awakening, enlightenment.
Yeah. Isn't that what everyone's chasing after?
Well, Pathless Zen kind of reframes that idea.
Okay, how so?
It says Satori isn't this magical state you achieve.
Right.
It's more of a shift in perspective.
Oh.
A direct experience of reality that transcends our normal way of thinking.
So it's not about escaping reality,
Mhm.
but seeing it more clearly.
Exactly. And the book emphasizes that Satori can happen in the most ordinary moments.
Oh, interesting. Not just on mountaintops or meditation retreats.
No, it's about finding that sense of interconnectedness, that sense of wholeness in everyday life.
I love that. It makes Zen feel a lot more accessible.
It does. Zen is not this exclusive club,
Right, it's something we can all tap into.
if we're open to it.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Pathless Zen, what's the key takeaway you want listeners to remember?
I think the biggest thing is that Zen isn't about becoming someone else.
Right.
It's about realizing the truth of who you already are,
Okay.
being connected to everything, capable of experiencing deep peace and clarity right now.
That's beautiful and honestly really inspiring. So for anyone listening who's intrigued by these ideas, I highly recommend checking out Pathless Zen, Discovering Infinite Simplicity.
Yeah, it's such a great read.
It can guide you, challenge you, and ultimately help you find your own path.
And remember, the journey starts with a single step.
Or maybe a single breath.
Exactly.
Perfectly said. Until next time, may your path be filled with presence, peace, and maybe even a few koans to keep your mind bending.
Keep those brains bending.
All right, take care, everyone.